Atrioc should react to this, not just because he's featured in it. But my understanding is this video is about private equity buying YouTube channels. So just to be clear, I have been bought by Bain Capital. This stream has been wholly owned by private equity for over a year now. I'm an employee on the clock, and they paid me a multi-million-dollar payout. You think I want to talk about fucking Dan Clancyville? I've been forced to by Bain Capital.
If you spend long enough on YouTube, there's now a very good chance that a substantial share of your watch time is going to channels partially or fully owned by private equity. Major firms operating in this space have raised...
No, but the reason I say that is like, why am I mentioning this video? I haven't been bought by private equity. I didn't even know about this. I'm interested in what context I'm going to be mentioning in this video.
Billions of dollars collectively from companies like SoftBank, Amazon, Disney, Goldman Sachs, and Blackstone, and they are using that money to acquire YouTube channels as strategic investments. According to my own analytics, where YouTube lets me see what my audience watches, some of these names should be familiar to you. Task and Purpose, Veritasium, Donut Media, Simple History, Fern...
Veritasium's owned by private equity? Fern is owned by private equity?
Fireship, Economics Explained, Mentor, Pilot, Futurism, Astrum, The Drive, and History Hit have all publicly been acquired by private equity.
What?
Outside of the nerd corner of YouTube, some of the biggest names in the space, including Cocomelon, Colin and Samir, The Theorist, and Dude Perfect, have also, all partially or completely...
Dude Perfect is owned by private equity? No! They were the one I believed in! You're telling me they're doing these trick shots for money? It's not about the love of the game for them anymore? They're just clocking in? They've got a CEO, there's suits involved?
Completely been acquired. These are also only the acquisitions that we know about because they chose to be upfront with their audience. There's no law requiring these deals to be publicly disclosed, and as you'll soon see, there are some really good reasons why they might want to keep it quiet. So why is this a problem? It's easy to say that private equity is just inherently bad, and to be fair, it's had some problems. But that shouldn't be enough by itself. Instead, what you should know is why private equity firms have suddenly become so interested in YouTube channels, and what this will likely mean for the future of the content that you...
Are you telling me I could get bought out? What's the price, Bain Capital? What's the price, Blackstone? Every man's got his price.
Watch. Big YouTube channels are really just businesses in the entertainment industry. Even completely independent creators still need to cover their own living expenses, and creating content does cost money. Film equipment, software...
I heard about this through, also not bought out, Jarvis, who told me there was people offering. Jarvis told me he got these crazy offers from like startups and stuff that were trying to do that. I guess my interest is like why someone like a Dude Perfect or I don't think a Mr. Beast has done this, but someone that big, you already have such a cash geyser from the ads. Why would you don't need the upfront money. You lose ownership. I guess just to make a big cash out right now and be safe for the future, I guess. It's a bet.
Location shoots, perhaps a hired video editor, it all adds up. A lot of medium-sized creators barely scrape by, paying themselves fairly modestly. And in the interest of transparency, even this channel, which now has over 70,000 subscribers, has lost money most months since I started it. Anyway, all of this can be fixed with scale.
Not to go too into it, but this is why I run a tight, lean ship, bro. I'm always scared of I should pay a bunch of money for big productions or whatever. The way I run my content and my employees and my team, it's like impossible to wipe us out. We're cockroaches, bro. I could have 6 bad months. We haven't uploaded on the main channel in a long time. Everyone's still getting paid, bro. All the editors for the main channel still get paid. And it's not stressing me out because everything is we just keep it lean. If I had a much bigger team or I had a sales guy this would be so much harder and I wouldn't be able to just play Age of Empires. To be honest, for real. I think it gives me a lot of freedom and it keeps a lot of safety. And I'm very happy with it. Every time I talk to other YouTubers that have multiple assistants, 2 or 3. I have 0. People I talk to have such big staffs. This is not a business that, first of all, I think runs forever. And then secondly, that you should be running, this is if you do it right, the highest margin business around, dude. The cost should be nothing. Not even me as an example. Let's use Northern Lion. Northern Lion's costs are like zero. It's the food to keep him alive. And he's printing cash. It's just funny to me that people found a way to make it money losing.
Creative brands grow, their revenue increases while their costs stay relatively stable. At a certain size, most of these channels can generate strong cash flows and predictable profits, which should make them desirable investable assets like any other business, right? Well, not exactly. These operations are incredibly risky, even by small to medium business standards. Most of them depend on a single platform for the majority of their revenue, and these platforms can ban, restrict, or moderate their content overnight, often with little to no explanation. Sunny V2 and about a dozen...
I mean, I think I have this less because I do like daily uploads for Big A, and when we were doing the main channel, we used to do daily. So it's like if one of them gets demonetized, it's like not the end of the world, especially for the Atrioc main channel now. Like if I do like the Tesla marketing video or whatever, and that gets demonetized, then we actually would have a tough time paying everybody. That would be tough. Because that was 3 editors working on that, and it's a big video, and it was the big project, and that, like, getting a video demonetized can really suck on YouTube. It can really wipe out all your work. I mean, yeah, that's the thing I hear people complain about.
Copycat channels have built their entire career on saying that the algorithm stopped recommending their content, because it genuinely happens so often. On top of that, most of these businesses depend on a single personality to host the content, even if there's a larger team working behind the scenes. Human beings, especially those that share their lives online, can get burnt out, get embroiled in controversies, or just fall out of favor with an audience that outgrows them. Typically, the wealthy investors and lenders that give money to private equity firms for them to make their acquisitions would be scared away by these business fundamentals. But over the past 5 years, a few things have changed which kicked off the great buy-up. The first major change was that creators demonstrated their ability to scale their own brands to generate profits beyond sponsored segments, audience donations, and integrated platforms.
When all's said and done, it's going to be crazy if Prime ends up losing money. Because I was looking into it, and their UK sales are way down after the hype is over. I haven't seen the American sales, but their UK sales are way down. And they put so much money into the marketing and the stunts and the branding that they didn't even get to earn profits on the hype period. So if they only were able to get buzz by spending a ton of money, and then when the money stops spending, they don't make any money, the whole thing ends up being a flop. It's going to be crazy, dude. I think they might have fucked it.
Some of these brands have been very successful, others not so much. Even if Beast Burger and Prime Energy completely implode, they were a test case that showed that real brands can be launched through clowns on the internet. If that initial success could be paired with a private equity team that actually knew how to run a business, theoretically, then there would be some real money to be made.
Let me tell you fucking something, Wall Street. You fat cats up in your fucking ivory towers. None of you can sell $35 Enron hats better than me. Okay? Let me tell you that. There's heart and there's soul in this. There's a human spirit. You take a hat, you sell it at a high price. It's a real fucking business. It's farm to table. And there's no way they can fucking do it.
Another big push that's come from the fact that legacy media, which is large, centralized, rigid, and needs to be broadly appealing, is losing out to millions of individual creators who are flexible, can make content specifically targeted to particular audiences without worrying about tarnishing the reputation of a gigantic media company. These companies now have to fight for advertiser dollars, which are being split over more mediums than ever. Now, this trend is nothing new. Google has been the largest advertising platform in the world for more than a decade now. But another threat these legacy businesses are facing is the competition for talent. A lot of people would rather operate their own YouTube channel over working on something like an old-school TV show. Investors in these companies are worried about these threats, and they're putting pressure on company leadership to do something about it. One of the central...
Bob Iger should become a YouTuber to save Disney. That's right, I said it. I want to see Bob Iger doing Mr. Beast-style challenges on the Disney YouTube channel to try and win the kids back over. The last Pixar movie was a flop. Yeah, give him a VTuber Mickey Mouse avatar. Do what they have to do,
about it. One of the central focuses of Netflix's Q1 memo to their investors was reassurance that they are not having any problems finding advertisers, and they presented a better opportunity to creators to make their show through them rather than produce it independently. Other legacy companies have started taking a simpler approach. If you can't beat them, buy them. Even if the business case is not that strong, a company like Disney giving a few $1 million to a private equity firm that specializes in acquiring YouTube channels lets their executives say that they are prepared for the threats that new media presents. Appeasing shareholders is often a lot more important to senior management than making genuinely good business decisions, especially when an investment of a few $1 million is actually quite cheap. Before around 2020, old school media companies were still going about this in their own old school.
It's actually not that crazy. If these channels are already selling, Disney just buying out a ton of them, Disney buying Mr. Beast is not crazy. It's actually not crazy at all. That's actually an interesting thing to own.
They would invest in traditional companies that just happen to have a new media digital-first focus. Think of businesses like Vice, BuzzFeed, Mashable, and Vox. These brands would build their own IP and primarily rely on platforms like Facebook and YouTube to distribute it, but behind the scenes, they were still operated like traditional media companies, with a lot of staff, city offices, and all the expenses that come with them. Which meant these were terrible businesses. They would burn cash, and they were much more expensive to acquire in the first place. Vice Media was once valued at over $5.5 billion. That's an unreasonable valuation for an organization that primarily distributed through a YouTube channel and a Facebook page. These are pages that get similar monthly viewership to Atrioc's daily clips channel. Now, clearly these are not the same thing, but one...
Holy shit, that's the best fucking way I could have been mentioned. That's awesome. That's actually what I'm talking about. Dude, that's me eating fucking gummies and thinking I'm high. And I'm mogging fucking BuzzFeed. That's what I'm saying, dude. I sit in my room and I talk about it, and I don't have fucking 800 writers or staff or cameramen or office space. You know, you get the same, or even if you get less. The chance of me going broke off it or fucking up is so small because my costs are so low. I just keep them so crazy low. My hairline looking pretty up there. Well, this is 4 years ago, so it's worse now. Thanks for bringing it up.
One is obviously much cheaper to operate than the other, on top of being generally more advertiser friendly. The channel Modern MBA did a deep dive into these companies and their respective failures. He did a better job than I could ever do, so instead of retreading the same details, I
think what this guy's saying is that I'm worth $5.5 billion to the market, and Bain Capital, I will sell for that price. That's my number, 5.5 billion, and I will walk. And I think handshake deal, okay?
Leave a link to that video if you're interested in that comedy of errors. But the point is, the legacy media companies that wanted to protect themselves against a wave of social media by throwing money at it needed a new solution. Instead of investing in companies to build...
But I'll say one more thing, because we're talking about my viewership. Listen, I think the Big A Clips channel has done incredibly well, and it's really awesome. And it's cool that people have had part of their routine, and it can be a source of news for people. But one thing I've noticed, and I've talked to other YouTubers about this, is my subscribers are shockingly low for my viewers. And I legitimately think people that watch Big A just want to steal the stuff in it, but not subscribe. I don't know. They just want it to be hidden. I swear to God, I feel like I have the lowest subscribe through rating. Like I have the daily viewership like equal to the subscribers. Nobody uses Subbucks anymore. People say that, but then plenty of new channels have subscriber growth. But then I also can't lie. I don't subscribe to like almost any channels. Like I've been watching a lot of Hera, I'm not subscribed to him. I've been watching a lot of Gotham Chess, I'm not subscribed to him. I guess it's just a habit, you know? People just don't use it. It's like people just trust their algo. I should subscribe, and I will, I guess, now that I've said it out loud. But like, I can see why people don't use it. Yeah, people just homepage and algo now.
An online audience, they could just invest in private equity firms that would buy out people who already had an audience. And then there's the private equity industry itself. Over the past 20 years, the scale of private equity operations has increased from less than a measly $1 trillion to over $12 trillion today in America alone, according to Preqin, a data firm who are themselves owned by BlackRock. With this much money to manage, they've simply run out of normal businesses to acquire. New private equity managers who want to start their own funds are entering a very saturated market, and one of the best ways to differentiate themselves is to invest in businesses that...
You notice anything about this city? You look out at this fucking city, you notice anything? No Chili's as far as the eye can see. You can look down here, no Chili's. Up here, no Chili's. Over here, no Chili's. It's a depressing city, bro. You could walk all over the streets and you'll see no Chili's. You have to go to Jersey to go to fucking Chili's.
A saturated market, and one of the best ways to differentiate themselves is to invest in businesses that nobody else understands. According to public releases, the biggest firms in the YouTube space have collectively raised about $2 billion and borrowed an additional $2 billion on top of that. So it's still quite a small part of the overall private equity market, but that's still more than...
If I was private equity, I would buy all of these channels. Skibbity Toilet Reacts. That's guaranteed cash printing, and you could do that forever because there's always going to be dumb kids. The Cocomelon, obviously, but you talked about it in the beginning, but it feels like the risk is so high buying a channel like Marcus Brownlee or something. Like, they're so personality focused. If that person ever leaves or gets tired or stops putting in the effort they were putting in, the channel dies. Or Atrioc, you couldn't buy my channel because the second I got the payout, I'd be like, all right, well, I can take it easy. Like, any video I feel really proud of, I have to stress about it. There's not a video I made that I'm proud of where it's like, you know what I'm saying? You have to put a little work in. Yeah, you go myth. You do what myth did. You take the paycheck and you chill. You do whatever you want. I just don't see the business case unless it was something so reproducible like this. Like, this already is slop. Nobody making this is passionate about it. They're just feeding child slop to children, and that still prints money.
The biggest firms in the YouTube space have collectively raised about $2 billion and borrowed an additional $2 billion on top of that. So it's still quite a small part of the overall private equity market, but that's still more than enough money for it to become an increasingly large part of your home screen. Now, for the creators themselves, this is a perfectly understandable decision to make. Online fame can literally collapse at any second for any reason, so if they can sell part or all of their channel and secure that bag, I don't think anybody should begrudge them for doing it. But it will inevitably change their content slowly but surely over time. One of the things that made YouTube channels a viable investment in the first place was their low overheads. A team of 2 or 3 people with off-the-shelf equipment can produce content that would have taken a whole studio at legacy media companies. But when a channel is acquired by a private equity company, they become the overhead. The analysts, business development managers, strategists, and acquisition teams all need to be paid as well. This means that to maintain profitability, the channel needs to make more revenue, which means more videos, more questionable sponsorships, more products. The investors in these firms also want to see consistent and continuous growth, which means they need to play the YouTube game with low-risk videos that are guaranteed to do well with the algorithm, accompanied by hyper-optimized thumbnails. Ultimately, what this means for you is that the content you watch is going to become more generic and safe within the parameters of what will optimize retention.
Mojo? Wait, I'm sorry. As opposed to like the edgy, real, raw Watch Mojo of the past? Is there a drastic difference in Watch Mojo quality? It feels like it's always been slop.
Also works with a private equity business strategy called rolling up, where multiple acquired channels will share management resources with one another. So if one thing works well for one channel, it'll be rolled out amongst all the channels in a portfolio. Now, independent YouTubers are absolutely guilty of this as well. I've personally spent many late nights making minor adjustments to my thumbnails to help my videos do just a little bit better.
Yeah.
But without a bloated team that needs to be paid and investors that need to be kept happy...
Yeah, I just think you wouldn't do that. I've done that too. I used to be really notorious about that, where I would change the thumbnail like 50 times just to try and get it right, because I was still learning how thumbnails worked on YouTube. I just wouldn't do that if I was bought out, right? Because who cares? It's their money, not mine. I already got paid. I'll give you a video and a thumbnail at the time. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like... It feels like...
Independent creators do have a little bit more leeway to take some creative risks from time to time. Rolling up and hyper-optimization is only going to accelerate a trend of every single piece of content on YouTube moving towards the same generic but effective formula. This is amplified by another problem that comes when the channel turns into an asset, which is that they typically want to move away from the focus on a single creator. For more than a decade, a channel like Veritasium has been focused on the host, Dr. Derek Muller. For a lot of regular viewers, Dr. Muller is Veritasium, but if you've been watching the channel recently, you'll notice that new hosts are slowly being introduced, so the whole operation isn't as singularly focused on one personality. The business case is that it cuts down on something called Keyman Risk, which is where the entire operation depends on one single person to continue. Since Veritasium isn't actually Derek's business anymore, there's nothing to stop him restarting a new channel from scratch or just retiring, since presumably he made millions of dollars from the acquisition in the first place. For other channels, this is all...
I mean, I assume as part of the deal, he had to stay on for at least a certain number of years. There's no way they just gave him the money and said, you can just leave now. That would not happen. But I assume after those years are up, yeah, he could just walk or start a different channel.
Already happened. If you search why I left blank in the YouTube search bar, there are endless videos from former personalities behind big channels talking about why they're suddenly showing up on a completely new channel. A common theme among most of them is that it wasn't their channel anymore. Most of these splits seem pretty amicable, often with the old channel commenting words of support under the video itself, but obviously this is still a real problem behind the scenes. After losing their host, a lot of these channels have suffered from reduced viewership, and people are far less likely to directly support channels.
Wait, I'm sorry, this sounds like the ultimate scam. I can find some dumb private equity person. I could sell this fucking channel for millions of dollars. I could serve out whatever fucking contract I do, and then I just start bigger A or something. All my viewers move over, and I fucking cashed out big B. That's actually just an unreal business. Please don't put this in a clip. That's my exit strategy, bro. That's an unreal fucking plan. Are you kidding me? With my daily viewership, I could fucking print some cash and then just keep my audience. Damn, that's not actually that crazy.
Through merch or paid memberships, when they know it's really just a faceless...
When did Mogul Mel get bought out? Mogul Mel was bought out by Halliburton in 2022, and Ludwig was doing it just for Iraqi war money. Tyrese Halliburton, actually, he bought it out.
Investment firm on the other side of the transaction. As this industry matures, we're more likely to see more onerous, non-compete contracts from acquired channels and a continuation of a trend towards commercially viable, predictable, and safe content over the unique and creative content that made YouTube so compelling in the first place. Now, go and watch this video next to understand the real reason every sponsor you see on YouTube is kinda terrible. Oh, and make sure to subscribe so I can get...
Interesting video. I liked it. Is that a new YouTuber, or do I not know them?
So I can get acquired.
Micro, a new YouTuber probably trying to get acquired.